Hello, Youest you listener, my soul sister and brother, wherever you are. I am super excited for today's conversation. And I first want to thank you for being part of this greater Youest you movement. It really is about feeling safe enough to be authentically however you express yourself and doing that and passing on that encouragement to others. And we are going to talk today. I'm so excited for the conversation. You're going to get to know my guest, Angela Jia Kim, really well, and to hear how she has been successful in ways that I think this whole world needs to hear and adapt. We're going to be diving in. Angela, thank you so much for coming and being on the show today. I'm so excited. We're just going to dive in. I'm so happy you're here.
Julie, thank you so much for having me as a guest.
So I just want to say, first of all, thank you. Additionally, about a couple of weeks ago, I got this like gorgeous package from Savor Beauty. And I'm like, oh my gosh, do I have like a secret admirer? Did I buy something and I don't remember? I had this moment and then I'm like,
Fun.
yes. I'm like, did my husband get this? Like what happened? Opened it up and there is like, and I have all these little products. I have your Savor Beauty, this beautiful lavender tones
Toner,
mist. I've
yeah.
got facial serum and I'll just show if people are watching
Yeah.
your beautiful book,
Oh,
Radical Radiance, and a journal. And like, I loved even the little bag, which is this Oscar Wilde "To love oneself is the beginning of a lifelong romance." And I'm like, all right, this chick totally is on the same vibe because I am all about self-love and
yes.
infusing that. So can you, like, for those who don't know you yet, maybe just share for a minute, like, how did you even get into this world and create Savor Beauty? What led you to that? How did you even get into this
Get
business?
into this.
Yeah.
Because if you would have told me even like 10 years ago that I would be doing this, I would be shocked. But first of all, Julie, you are radiant. So I'm glad that I sent these gifts to you because I knew you would appreciate it and you look beautiful. So okay, how I fell into this, I have no idea. Like I was a concert pianist and I was touring. Always say I sometimes toured more towns than a presidential candidate visits.
Wow.
And right before one concert, I put on this quote, natural lotion all over my body and started breaking out into hives in front of hundreds of people. And I went back to the hotel room and took a look at the list of ingredients and was really surprised to find out how many chemical ingredients were on this list. So I came back to New York City where I live and I started to just research and experiment and started making lotions and potions in my kitchen, tiny Manhattan kitchen at the time. And that's how it all began. And as a concert pianist, I'd learned all about excellence, practice until it's perfect. And I really applied those skills to coming out with what I called my perfect cream. And it took 1,000 tries, Julie. And
Wow.
then I started giving them as gifts to my friends. I used my mom, my Korean mom, as a muse and I gave it to her. And she was so critical of them. And one day she was like, I love this. It makes my skin soft. It makes it bright, luminous. And so I kind of knew that I had a really beautiful cream. And today it's one of our top sellers. It's our truffle face cream, which has a lot of vitamin B, which restores your skin's radiance and luminosity. So that's really how I started, my journey into the beauty entrepreneurship world. And I said to you, I was a concert pianist. So I literally had no business background. I had no money. At the time, I was a poor, starving artist. I put everything on my credit cards. And then I was pregnant with my daughter. And so I think I was 5 months pregnant and what I said was going to be my last concert. I closed the concert lid, the piano lid shut. And I decided I was just going to make it in New York City. And when she was born, 1 month in, I said, you know what? She's so creative. I can feel the creativity in her. And she gave me a lot of energy. And so I decided to open up a little holiday kiosk at the Bryant Park holiday shops. And it was Christmas and I was breastfeeding and selling creams at the same time. And I think I sold like $40,000 of creams that holiday season. And so then I thought, well, I think I have a little business here.
Wow. Okay. Question. Cause I'm like, just also having jumped into this with like literally just the passion, like nothing else, no funding, no. So with you, did you make the 40,000, all of those orders, that was all made in your tiny kitchen in New York
Yes.
City?
Yes.
Okay, everyone take that. That says something. That's a big deal. So you
Yes.
must have been like literally stocked up, like
Yeah.
tons
I
of
mean,
product.
I was making creams. I think I think at the time I had hired somebody to help me to make the creams.
Yeah.
But it was just so, it was kind of like I went to the school of hard knocks. I learned everything the hard way. Julie, I didn't know how to sell. I didn't know what marketing was. I
Mm,
didn't know I didn't know what an employee was because I never was one and I never had one. I didn't know anything.
mm,
So I was coming into this with pure passion, as you said. Passion was my paycheck as well, because for a long
mm.
time I didn't make any money. So, I mean, even though the $40,000, it sounds like a lot of money, but did I mention earlier, I put $60,000 on my credit card too.
Mm.
So,
Wow.
it was really a leap of huge faith that I was
Yeah.
doing this.
Wow.
Yeah.
That just that says a lot. It's a lot of courage in there. There's a lot of
Craziness.
trusting, yeah, faith, trusting.
Yeah.
Absolutely. You put 60,000 on your credit card. So you sold the 40. I know you hear the 40,000 and it's like, that's fantastic. And then it's like, okay. And I
And
put 60,000 on. You had probably, sounds like someone who helped you, but this was
oh,
just the
and
beginning.
yeah, and also I have to say my then husband, who's now we're amicably divorced and we're still friends and great co-parents, Mark, he really helped me in those beginning stages. He was a very supportive husband and father, and so we did it together really. So it was really a team effort as well.
Hmm.
Yeah.
So your daughter's 13. I know you
Yes.
said earlier. So your business is now 13 years old or
Yes.
around that. Okay.
Yeah.
Wow. Okay. So take us, this is, and I do want to tap in. I know just talking to you before, I'm like, I want you to share about how you've really built this business in ways that I think many, many people
Hmm.
have not learned to do this yet, tuning into that feminine energy,
Yeah.
not knowing how to sell. I'm like, I want to hear. So you started to build it. Did you eventually, I'm assuming at some point, moved it out of your apartment?
Yes, yes. So, well, let's fast forward 13 years later. So I've had many rebrands, many rebirths. So before COVID, we decided to move all the manufacturing and the making of the products to the Hudson Valley, which is sort of like 90 minutes north of New York City. And I have a team of about 6 women now up there who make, package, and ship all the products.
Mm,
And and also before COVID, I had around 40 employees. I opened up 2 spas in Manhattan. And so I employed a lot of estheticians. And so anyway, I built it to multiple 7 figures, and I call it the spiritual 7 figures because it was not an overnight success. There were a lot of fits and starts at the very beginning because I didn't know what I was doing. So I went to, as I said, the school of hard knocks, and I had to learn things the hard way, Julie, like how to manage employees, how to do publicity, how to do the marketing. So I'm really happy to dig into it because I really believe that sometimes we think, a business owner, when you see a successful business owner, you think, oh, it was overnight success. And then you
yeah.
always hear about these $1 million funded businesses, and you hear about all these success stories, but I'm here to tell you that my overnight success took 10 years, and
Uh,
it's okay. It can be organic. You can grow your business in an organic way, and you can grow it in a very feminine energy way, and you can grow it in a spiritual way. I spent the first probably, decade or even 8 years of building business thinking I had to work myself to the ground. I thought I had to compete with male entrepreneurs because the beauty space is very competitive. I thought it had to be all about spreadsheets and numbers and but I've really leaned in the last 5 years, leaned into a feminine energy, into self-love, self-care, and doing business in a very different way. And I'd be really happy to share with you, some ways that you can build your business um, spiritually. And also, by the way, yielding the same or better results.
Yeah. Yeah. Yes, please. Yes, Angela. I'm like, as an entrepreneur myself over here, I want to just pause though for a minute. Something you said, it's very important. I know so many of you listening. I know, many of you are entrepreneurs, have a business or entrepreneurial and thinking about starting something or have a side hustle. And what you said, my God, it just calmed my nervous system. It took you 10 years.
Mhm.
There's that great quote. I think it was Harrison Ford that said it took him 20 years to become an
Yes.
overnight success. So 10 years actually, trying out different ways of doing things. You said the school of hard knocks. What I love that you said though, Angela, is it took me 10 years and that's okay. Like, and that's great.
Yeah.
Because I think there's this belief that if you don't get it right away, if you don't make seven figures right away, then you are somehow failing or that it's not working and that
Yeah.
is just not true. And also that you don't need to blow out your adrenals and your nervous system. In fact, highly recommend you don't do that. So you can be around for the whole experience. Yes, I would love to hear you talk about, I know as a, you know, growing this business, seven-figure business and beyond in a spiritual and feminine, using feminine energy. Yeah, let's get in, share what you know, because and
Well,
everyone listen up. This is like what we need. I need this.
well, what I also want to say is, Radical Radiance, which is the book that I wrote, it's 12 weeks of self-love rituals to manifest abundance, beauty, and joy. So people, I got it published by St. Martin's Press, which is a very prestigious, reputable publisher. But I also want to share with you that also took 10 years. So
Okay.
people often come to me and say, well, how did you become a published author? And it's like that road took 10 years as well. So um, I just want to encourage everyone that good things take time sometimes.
Yeah.
And we need to think of this as just an adventure and a journey that we can take. And just because I wrote the book doesn't mean that I've arrived. There's more, right? And I've enjoyed so much going on a podcast tour and meeting people like you, Julie, very deeply spiritual connected people, and partnering with them. And so it's just this twisty road that you're taking, and it's an adventure. So we need to think of it that way. Okay. So where should we start? I want to talk a little bit about abundance, because
Yeah.
I think this is my biggest lesson learned about business, is the abundance of how we can get to not only a successful enterprise, but also how do you, as the founder or the owner of your business, reward yourself? Because I remember when I told you I had somebody helping me make creams. I remember back then, at one point, I felt jealous of her because
Mhm.
I remember thinking, I was just sitting there. I wasn't making any money myself. And I thought to myself, she's making the money and I'm sitting in debt. How is this fair? I felt this envy. I was like, I wish I could be her, because she has no pressure and she has no like stress, and she's just making money and going home. And I'm sitting here with all the bills, all of the responsibility, and I'm not making anything. And that's when I sat down and I thought, one day my business is going to take care of me too.
Mm.
And I think that's a very important abundance lesson. Your business, you do take care of others through your business. And most of us have businesses with a mission, but it's very important to know that our business is here to take care of us too. And I have a lifestyle business. Now I have an accounting department and I have financial people who help me. And they're saying to me, well, what is this business meant to do for you financially? And I said, for now, it's a lifestyle business. It's taking care of my daughter and me. I'm a single mom in New York City now. And it's here to take care of my employees. And it's here to be abundant for our clients, our employees, my team, and for me too. So I consider this a lifestyle business that takes care of people and me too. And it's okay for us to ask that of our businesses.
Can I even can we
Of
pause you
course.
there? Oh my gosh, I feel like everything you're saying, I'm like, hold on, like
Yes.
stop the press. This is so, first of all, thank you for being so open and vulnerable. I've experienced that. It's funny. I just recorded a solo episode about envy and jealousy and comparison, and it can be
Yes.
challenging, especially, it never works to do that. Yet it's a natural emotion that could come up, and hearing that was there in the beginning, and then realizing you made this decision, which I think is so important to say out loud. You made this decision to honor yourself and all those that are working for and with
Mhm.
you, and to decide that, someday my business is going to take care of me. And
Mhm.
I got to tell you, I don't know that many of us think of it that way. And I think
Mhm.
that is an important declaration. Like that is, I'm hearing you said to yourself, to the universe, to,
Mhm.
what you're up to, that this is going to happen,
Mhm.
and you created that, and it took time. But that deciding that's important. And also it understate it's like there's the worthiness. You're
Mhm.
claiming your own worthiness, and the importance of taking care of yourself and your daughter.
Right. And the business needs, as it grows, listening to your business is another, feminine energy
Yeah.
skill that I learned. Listen to your business as well, because it whispers hints
Mm,
of where it wants to grow. And sometimes we don't always listen to it. And so
mhm.
then it can't grow. It's almost like you give birth to a baby and you never know what this baby is going to become. But a baby, as you know, you're a mother of teenagers now, and I'm a mother of a 13-year-old daughter. You think that you want him or her to be the way you want him or her to be, but they have their own spirits and their own souls and their own way in this world. And I think we as parents, the most beautiful thing we can do is help them discover their genuine, authentic gifts and then let that grow, right? And same with our businesses. So we give birth to our businesses, and the business at some point wants to grow in a way that if we listen to it and allow it, it can become very abundant. So, case in point, let's go back in time when I opened up my first little retail shop after I did the holiday kiosk. I opened up my first little retail shop in the West Village. And I opened in the West Village because I asked a lot of the people who purchased from me at that holiday shop, a pop-up shop, where do you live? And they all said West Village. Now, Julie, if you don't know New York City, the West Village is filled with extremely wealthy people, including celebrities. And at the time, Jennifer Aniston, Julianne Moore, Hugh Grant, Annie Leibovitz, they all had houses within like 2 or 3 blocks of where I opened up the little retail shop. I was so excited. And after our opening party, the next day, I went to the shop and I sat and I sat and I
Mhm.
sat. And then I started to cry. I was like, nobody is walking by. Nobody is walking by. And then it dawned on me, celebrities live here because they have so much privacy. There are no tourists. There is nothing. And see, that's my naivete as an entrepreneur. I didn't do any of that research. I just went with my gut and I opened.
Mm.
And so I was just like, what am I going to do? I've got all this rent that I have to pay. Nobody's going to come in. Well, I started to freak out. And then, so my assistant at the time, she was the one that was helping me make the creams, and she was the one that was making the money, and I wasn't. So I was just sitting there really freaking out. And one lady walked in one day and she said, do you do facials here? And I looked at my assistant. I just looked at inside of myself. And I don't know why I said this, but Julie, I said, yes, we do. Come back in 3 days. I
Oh
don't
my
know why I said that. And at the time, we had sold some product to some spas. So there were estheticians that were using the product, and they had created protocols. So I guess that's why I had the confidence to say yes, even though we never did the facials. And, this is where listening to your business is really important, because my gut said yes. And my assistant was like, but where am I going to work from? That's my office. Cause there was a little office, a little closet, and she said, well, where are you going to do the facials? And I said, we're going to turn that office into a facial place. And she was like, well, where am I going to work? Because I'm not going to work. She didn't want to work up front. She didn't want to see anybody. She was kind of introverted, and she was kind of my everything because she was helping me make the product. And I just, at that moment, I said, the business has to grow and I'm going to have to do this for the business, because I think I was doing everything to please, you do things to
yeah.
please other people. And that was my first stance. I said, we are going to do this. And within 3 days, I hired an esthetician. We got a treatment table. We got some treatment equipment. We had all the products there. And she did the first facial to this woman.
Wow. Okay. That's such a great example. I was going to ask you, give an example of the whispers and what that
Yeah,
means.
it
And
was a whisper and it was a gut.
yeah,
And then my gut just said, my brain said, no, we don't. But my gut said, yes, we do. And so let me finish the story because it gets better.
yeah.
The lady in the middle of the facial walked out. She was like, that's not what I thought it was going to be. And I was horrified. I was just like, oh my gosh, what should I do? So she was leaving and my gut again said, go after her. So I ran after her and I was like, excuse me, could you give me feedback, please?
Yeah.
And she was surprised. And I said, please just give me feedback. And she came back and she gave all this feedback. And so I took the feedback and I said, okay, I'm going to make this better. And so little by little, we gave more and more facials and we kept asking for feedback and we got really great. And Julie, we started getting amazing Yelp reviews. Magazine editors started to want to come. We got a write-up in Time Out New York. We got written up in Self Magazine. Eventually we were getting write-ups in Refinery 29. And then it just kept growing. And then Howard Stern, the radio show, was calling. We got written up in the New York Times. And then like Goop started to write about us. And I don't know if you've heard of Goop, Gwyneth
Oh, yeah. Love
Paltrow.
it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And Mind, Body, and Green. And I just was on Mind, Body, Green's podcast and she
Oh,
said to
Jason.
me,
Yeah.
yeah. Well, this is their Clean Beauty School podcast. They have
Yes.
different podcasts. Yeah. So Alex, who's the beauty director at Mind Body Green, she was telling me she said, Angela, when I was an intern, all the at Self Magazine, all of them were talking about Savor Beauty and how amazing the facials are. And so I just sort of grew up in the beauty industry, in beauty editor world, thinking I have to one day get a facial at Savor Beauty. And and so I just think, wow,
Mhm.
wow, that
Wow.
our facials are now coveted by all these major magazine beauty editors. And it started with me, like just listening to a gut whisper. How is that for spiritual 7 figures
Mm.
right there, right? So that's really important that we listen to our businesses. And sometimes it comes from employees or people who are helping you. Sometimes it comes from clients and sometimes it comes from your gut.
Yeah.
Listen to that. And sometimes you'll be shocked at some clients. They'll just say, I have this feeling that you should do this. And I'm not saying you have to do everything that your clients say, but if it resonates, consider it.
That's an extraordinary story.
Yeah.
I love the underlying the bottom line, and everyone
Yeah.
listen, because this is really the whole key is to listen and to tune in and to pay attention and not to just, you could have gone with your mind, your brain that said, no, we can't do that. And I love that, you said I took a stand for the company. That was the first time. I don't know this is you. I know many of our listeners identify as women. I know, or in being people pleasers and trying to accommodate. I know
Yes.
that's been an issue
Yes.
for me. And just hearing you share that story of, what, I'm standing for this business. That's what I'm doing. And following your inner wisdom, your gut feeling, that is the whole point. That is exactly what we talk about here in the USU community and movement, because that is, in my humble opinion, and it can come from other people, like you said, it's our superpower. It's the
Mhm.
line to something greater that wants to expand
Right.
through
And
us.
if you think of your business as a business that wants to take care of you, it
Yeah.
needs to be able to create the abundance in order to do so. And so let's even think of it as the goddess of abundance. We need to listen to it and respect it and make some very, how should we say, they could be tough decisions, but they're wise decisions.
Mm,
So what I mean by that, even now I have a manager, and I meet with her and we have a business development person. So we've got, a whole committee of women who
yeah.
work with the spas and the product lines. And we have a meeting once a week. And even the other day we were saying, well, this is what the business needs. The business wants to grow in this way. And so we need to make all of the characters, all of the people who work for the company, it needs to be a win-win. We can't just do what the employees want, but we can, and we don't want to just do it just for the business. We need to work together for the abundance. And sometimes we do need to make a wise, but sometimes hard to make choice,
Yeah.
and sometimes people think, well, but what if this employee gets upset and walks? Or you remember my assistant and how
Yeah.
she was like, no, that's my office.
Yeah. What
And
happened
I was
there?
kind of making all my choices based on that, pleasing,
Yeah.
as people pleasers. Sometimes what I said to my manager yesterday is that it's okay if some people feel like this is not the right choice for them,
Yeah.
because they might be better suited for a different phase in their life. And it may be without Savor Beauty. And that's okay, because they will thrive. If this doesn't work for them, they may thrive elsewhere. And that philosophy, I will tell you, we've had a lot of employees come and go over the years, but most of them go as friends because we
Mm.
part with that spirit in this may not be the best serving place for you right now. Let's help you find a place where you may be happier or that is better served for your lifestyle.
Yeah.
But this no longer serves us.
Yeah.
And I think that is the best way to be in a win-win service,
Yeah.
right?
You talked about using and tapping into feminine energy in creating this abundant business and really in a spiritual way. I'd love to hear more how you define feminine energy and how you've used that feminine energy. Because I know you said in the beginning of starting your business, you were, working yourself to the bone and that didn't
Mhm,
work, which I can
mhm.
tell you does not work.
No, it doesn't
um,
work.
no, it doesn't work. What does that look like now? How do you draw upon feminine energy? What does that mean? What are those qualities, and I'm thinking, like, what are some takeaways? Because I know others listening can get so much from your experience here.
Okay, well, first of all, I just to give you a contrast of how I was, I would wake up at dawn and then work until midnight sometimes. And even the NBC's Today Show, they did a series called the Early Bird series, and I was featured on it. And they introduced me as wife, mother, entrepreneur who runs businesses and starts her day at 4:30 a.m. And I was like trying to be mom extraordinaire, like organizing my daughter's play dates. And then I would go to meetings, and it was just this like whiplash of a day. And, you know, then I started to get slowly, as I said, the universe whispers to you. And my body started to fail, like my mental health started to fail. I started to get panic attacks. I started to break out in these horrible rashes, and I would just
Mm.
scratch myself because it was so itchy, this eczema condition that I developed. I had chronic back pain. And my body was just screaming, stop. But my brain kept saying, go, 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 which was just such a lie. It was such a lie. So I think the one thing that I learned from developing more of a feminine energy approach to life and to business is that you need to fill your cup first in order to truly give to others, to give to your children, to give to your spouses, your significant others, to your employees, to your clients. If you have nothing to give, it's just hollow. And once you become very hollow, we're talking about abundance, which I feel like is the theme here.
Yeah.
There's just no abundance, and eventually
Mm.
you're just going to burn out. So I think self-care, which, and this is why I wrote the book, self-love, and learning how to love your soul. It's learning how to love your inner essence is a huge feminine energy, powerful way of growing your business, taking care of yourself. So let me be a little bit more. Does that make sense, first of all, Julie?
Yeah, no, and I think thank you for kind of bringing that back to the topic of abundance and really getting. And oh my gosh, 100% I'm with you with this. Like, if you are not, giving to yourself the great oxygen mask, obviously example, if you're not filling your cup or your oxygen first, you really can't give, and you'll see it in your health, which it sounds like you did. And there's a softer, kinder, more peaceful, abundant way, this feminine
Mhm.
energy aspect, where it's more about honoring, caring for yourself loving your whole self, your inner essence,
Mhm.
connecting to your soul. That's what I'm hearing, at least.
Yes. Well, so let's put that in more concrete terms, because I know sometimes it can seem like, oh,
Yeah.
when you're talking about feminine energy, it just seems like, what is it? Right. So let me tell
Yes.
you my definition of abundance,
Love
which
it.
is very feminine, actually. So most people think of abundance as financial wealth, or, but mine is, it's an abundance of love. It's an abundance of food. It's abundance of connection. And it's an abundance of love for what you do as well. Because there was a time when I hated my business. I hated it. I just did not want to. I just dried up. I was not juicy. I was dried up. So my definition of abundance, if you have a pen and paper, or if you're in front of your iPhone, please write this down, because it's really powerful and it's very simple to remember. Be, do, receive.
Mm,
So let's just, if you don't mind, just kind of drill down in each of those columns. So
yeah.
be is really about being. When I said falling in love with your soul, it means meditating. It means visioning. Like, do you have a vision for your life? Do you have a vision for the next even 90 days? I have a planner. It's called the Savor Beauty Planner, my next 90 days. Do you being like, I do a lot of affirmations in the morning. I feel renewed. I feel abundant. I am radiant. I am glowing. These are words that are so important, because when you have a radiant soul, you feel so juicy and creative, and you desire things. And that is always so much more powerful than just getting into the masculine energy of, all right, what's our goal? How are we going to manifest this? Or how are we going to reach our goals, right? It's very different. So do in the morning, make sure that you're making room to make sure that you're making space in your life to be. And then I believe it's very important that we express our souls in a way that we can manifest something that we can see, touch, and feel. So in the Savor Beauty Planner, I have a section. It's a 5-step system, where there's a section where you detox your brain. So it's like, well, what do I have to do? So for example, on my here it is, the detox section of the planner. Can you see it, Julie? Yeah,
Yes. I love it.
you can see. So here I have all sorts of things, from, making my daughter's orthodontics appointment to, we have to change the name of one of our products, and, planning an event for our pumpkin cream launch. So everything goes on there as a spiritual dump, defining 3 of the priorities. And then that's the number 1 thing that you want to do. And then the second thing is, how are you going to nourish to flourish this week? Your self-care, maybe it's a massage, maybe it's a facial, maybe it's a yoga session, And then the third step of doing is pulling your weeds, which means doing something that every day that you might be procrastinating. For example, making the appointment, a doctor's appointment for my daughter, paying the mortgage bill, things that aren't always so glamorous, but you need to do. It's like pulling weeds. And then the fourth thing is planting seeds, which is maybe reaching out. For me, it was like reaching out to our event guest invites and inviting them to our event. Another one was pitching the press for something. Another one was putting out an ad for marketing assistant. And then the fifth thing is structuring your day. I always say structure your day like a well-organized closet, where I will actually put things into containers. So from 10 to 11, this meeting, 11 to 12, a podcast, just really structuring the day. So I believe in doing. I think doing is actually a very feminine way of expressing your creativity, right?
Mm-hmm.
And then finally, the third piece of it is receive. And I think this is so important. We often don't do it because we're busy, or we just don't accept the gifts. So what do I mean by receive? Let's say, I don't know, what's something, Julie, that you've right now, once that you've manifested that may or may not have gone your way exactly?
Oh my gosh, there's so many things. Like, well, I was thinking receiving. I know when I got your gift, I I was like, did I order that? And it was just this like, I felt it. I felt honestly, I was like, I love this woman. I feel it in my heart. Like there's a little
Oh,
note. It was beautiful. It was beautifully wrapped. And for me, it's funny. I use the word savor all the time. You
cool.
want to savor the
Mhm.
compliments, the gifts, the sunset, whatever it is that you're receiving.
Yeah.
There are so many other examples of things that I have. I mean, this happens all the time, right? Where, having a podcast, I might have a look for a guest and they may not respond, but then two other guests, authors, people that I love, I connect with and I happen to
Right.
meet. And it's like, whoa, look at just
Yes.
happened. Yeah.
Yes. So that I think what you said is perfect. Thank you for reminding me, savor beauty, right? Savor the beauty, right? So it's sitting down, and I talk a lot about beauty rituals in this book, Radical Radiance, washing your face, massaging your face,
Mm,
taking the time to savor. Can you take 30 minutes just to savor what you're grateful for? Savor the gifts that you received, savor the connection that you and I are having right now, savoring and feeling so grateful for it, right? Sometimes you manifest something that's not perfect. Maybe, I don't know, maybe in business something didn't go exactly your way, but actually the gifts that you received were the lessons learned,
yes.
right? And that's beautiful. Receiving those gifts is beautiful.
Mm,
Um, Making sure, like when you are on a trip, just counting how many ways you're so fortunate. That's savoring. So I think receiving. Also, another way that I receive in business is sometimes I feel like I have to lead all the meetings because I'm the founder and come up with all the ideas. But when I'm in a room and I've purposely filled the room with smart women, they all have beautiful suggestions. And I don't have to always come up with the solutions. They will come, and
mm,
to receive that, the gift of their intuition is gorgeous.
mm.
So I think it's beautiful to receive, learning how to receive no matter what. And also getting to the point, you'll get very good at this receiving, where it's almost like the outcome doesn't matter.
Yeah.
You meditate on it, you visualize, you manifest by doing. You're just planting your seeds, and then you receive. It's like you almost don't care what's the outcome because you've done your part. Isn't that beautiful?
This is like, I actually was just thinking, it's so beautiful. And I'm really grateful. I'm like, I'm kind of doing this, like not perfectly. There is no perfect. So take that out.
No, it's not perfect
Because
ever.
I'll just share with you, Angela, I having a health issue from probably about 10 years ago that I know came out of some intense stress, changing marriages, jobs, and then doing a similar thing as you, working crazy hours and having a little bit of that workaholism. It really, like, my body, just like our business gives us whispers, my body, I know your body, and I'm saying to everyone, listen, I don't do that anymore. I don't. And I've turned it around and changed it around. I love what you're saying. And I love this be, do, receive, because you're filling yourself with that, that energy, that connection, that mindfulness, the visioning, the powerful tool we have. I mean, Einstein talks about our imagination is like literally the most powerful tool. I love that
Mhm.
this is part of your planner. And then the doing, this is, I'm also hearing feminine energy, a different way of looking at doing. It's still taking action, yet it's action connected to, what were you visioning? What are you
Mhm.
putting out there? And I love this, the nourish to flourish, the pulling the weeds, the planting the seeds, the structuring your day, like beautiful way of framing this. Like, I just love this whole, the way that you've mapped this out. And then that savoring, that receiving, you actually, just as a coach, putting my coach's hat on, I've been coaching and I have a academy, and I always am listening for, looking for, how can I look at something, even if it's a quote unquote failure, as a learning, as a gift. And what I love about what you said is, let's look at receiving. It's not just receiving a manifested, a money or a gift or an item. It could be something that didn't work out, and looking at what did you learn from that? What was the gift there? I mean, to me, this in itself, this is so important. I feel like so many of us, myself included, like, and then the other piece you brought in is the collaborating, the bringing in the gifts of others,
Mhm,
rather than competition, which is the old model.
mhm,
Bringing in that collaboration, bringing in the intuitive gifts of your other, the other women in your team, and letting them step in, and letting them, and then letting go of attachment to that outcome,
mhm.
which is really, to me, this is another way of looking at manifestation as
Yeah.
well.
Yes.
Yeah.
And so this is, I very strongly believe this is how you bring abundance into your life,
Mm,
right?
love that.
And I think most of us, I mean, I think most entrepreneurs live in the do, but trust me, if you give equal credence to be and receive, the balance is stunning. And your life becomes kind of a miracle, a magical, it becomes magic. I love it. Like, and I can't believe I spent a decade working myself to the bone when it didn't have to be, it could be so much more juicy and so much more delicious and so much more savory.
Mm. Savory. Oh, I like that word. That's awesome.
Savory, yes.
That is so
So,
good. I love that. I love using it like that way. I love, love, love. You're right. This definition, I've never heard of it before with abundance, and just appreciate also making it practical and concrete, because I think sometimes it's like, great, I would like more abundance in everything. And what do you mean by that? Like, how do I do that? And so this formula, really, it's simple, and it's also very powerful. And it's
thank you.
clear you're living it, you're breathing it, you're using this in your business. One of my questions before we wrap, first of all, this is like delicious talking to
Oh,
you.
thank you. You are delicious.
You are radiant. We could just like,
Oh, you
I'm
are
like,
glowing.
so radiant and so fantastic. Like, I was just thinking, like, I just love this. I want to keep doing this, which is actually, I think, a good thing to notice. That is usually how you want to feel when you're doing
Yes.
something. I'm always curious, to hear, you talked about visioning. When you kind of project into the future, you think about maybe the legacy that you want to leave, or the future vision for yourself, for Savor Beauty too. But what's really important to you, and how do you see birthing that into the world? And maybe anything that has to do with what do you see as kind of that future vision for yourself, and why is that important? Those are a lot of questions. You can choose one that you like.
Well, okay. So the question I heard is, well, you didn't exactly say this, but I will answer it this way. How do you want to make others feel? That's what I got from your
Mm,
question, and that's what I'd love to answer. So, a long time ago when I created Savor Beauty, I thought to myself, but I want it to be so much more than a product line. Like, and I remember I had hired a coach and she said, "What do you want?" And I said something so outrageous at the time, but I think it's coming true finally, like 13 years later. She said, she asked me, "What do you want to do? What do you want to do with this product line?" I said, "When people use it, I want them to know that so much more is possible for their lives. And I know it's a face cream. And I know it will brighten their skin. And I know that the serums will provide moisture and dewiness, and the cleanser will purify the skin, but I want them to know that they can do so much." And so this book, Radical Radiance, I teach women how you treat your skin is how you treat your soul. And I want you to fall in love with your soul. So on the bottles, it says, of the Savor Beauty bottles, it says, things like purify, renew, nourish, glow. And so I always say to people, when you use the products, that's your affirmation for the day. I feel glowing. I feel nourished. I feel renewed. I feel purified. And that's what I hope to do. Is I hope to help, my legacy would be to help people fall in love with their souls that way. And that's a vehicle to do so. And I think it's happening.
awesome. Amazing. Beautiful. I love that. We'll have all of this, by the way, everyone listening. I always put a lot in the show notes, but this quote you just said, I'm like, oh, that's a mic drop. How you treat your skin is how you treat your soul.
Mhm.
I actually, I agree with that. And I will tell you, because I am obsessed with the the oil, the serum that you sent
Yes.
me. I actually put it, probably shouldn't have put on this morning because I can still see it's,
No, it's
but
you. That's why I thought you were glowing. Your
yeah,
skin
I'm
is literally
glowing.
glowing. Yes.
I think I am glowing from this. And I love putting that on. And, I'm actually going to make an effort tonight. I'm going to challenge everyone. If you're listening, and definitely check out Angela's Savor Beauty products. They're beautiful. They're affirming, they're empowering. Um, no matter what you're doing tonight, though, take a moment I love what you said, to really honor, first of all, that you're alive, that you have fingers to put on your skin, that you can
Mhm.
massage that in. Um, I, I love those affirmations though. And it's true. Whenever I use that, I do feel, I'm like, wow, I feel like I am glowing.
Yes. And so just say it to yourself,
Yeah.
I am glowing. I feel, and if you're not totally believing it, just say, I feel glowing. I'm becoming glowing. I'm
Yeah.
glowing. I'm glowing. And say it like, and really savor the sense. That's why we use aromatherapy. It grounds you. Just
Mm,
savor the aroma and how your skin feels, and take a moment to really get grounded. It can be, that moment can actually transform your mood, which is actually life changing, you know?
absolutely.
Right.
It's so funny as you said that. In coaching, I talk a lot about your words, your questions, your presence. That can help somebody transform. Acupuncture, it's the needle.
Mm,
This is important. It's the serum, the creams. It's also the scent. It's
mhm.
the sensuality of it. It's the experience of it. Like, it is transformative. I felt that. And I got to say, like, I'm not just saying this, I spray this all the
Oh, I
time.
love it.
My cat loves it, which is funny. I didn't know she would love lavender. She's sleeping over here. I love it. No, but it really, there are times where I'm like, I feel a little blah. Especially when I'm up early, taking my kids to school. I come back, I'm like, oh, and I spray it. And it's like, whoa, I just feel enlivened. So that
Yeah.
term you chose, savor, is really, it's powerful. And to me, it matches the feminine energy we're talking about, in that
Yes.
abundance.
Oh,
Yeah.
I love this.
Well, Angela, so my last question, because
Okay. Okay.
I never want to end anything. And I'm like, this is so fun and love talking to you. For those listening, we know I have a term I call heart flare. It's where maybe there's something I didn't ask you yet, or there's just a little heart nudge, something that you feel called to share. You don't have to, that you just feel this is what you want to share before we end for the community.
Well, I would like to share something about you, Julie.
Aw, that's
So
all
every
right. Receiving. I'm like,
Okay, receive,
okay, all
receive,
right,
receive.
all
So,
right.
I think everyone has an essence, an inner being essence, and like a beauty product has an essence, right? Like the Nourish serum, raspberry serum that we have is a line diminishing oil. That's its essence. And so I just wanted to share what I sense is your essence, which
Mm,
is sensuality and appreciation. I don't know why those words come to me, but you really listen. You're very appreciative. You have appreciation. I feel your presence is so like delicious and sensual, like sensual, not in a sexual way. It's a sensuality of all of your senses are activated. You are
mm,
hearing, you're listening, you're smelling, you're sensing, you're intuiting, you're really, all of your sensories are alive. And so I just wanted to share that word with you and to encourage the listener and that's part of your soul, right? So I
mm.
want to encourage your listeners to fall in love with their souls by getting to know their essence, because it's beautiful and we all have one, right?
Of course.
So that's gorgeous. And I also wanted to offer a gift. If everyone wants to go to radicalradiance.com, and if they get the book, they just need to click on the virtual goodie bag, which am giving to people who purchase the book. It's worth $350. And it has things like my manifestation workshop in there, 10 beauty food recipes, my quick lesson on how you can glow in 1 minute for a Zoom call. It has
Wow.
inspiring videos by women that I love. Um, so yes, I invite you to go and receive those gifts.
Gorgeous, juicy, delicious. These are all the words. First of all, thank you. That is received. And that has taken 47 years to be able to receive
Oh,
at that level. And I really do. And thank you for sharing, your gifts and being here. We'll definitely have the link, radicalradiance.com. I would say you'd be crazy not to go buy her book and get those
Oh,
amazing gifts. Your book is beautiful. It's
thank you.
absolutely beautiful. It's beautiful visually, and it's beautiful, like literally your words and the way that you describe, even as you get into abundance and so many other ways of how we can be radiant from the inside out. You model that, and I
Thank you.
appreciate you so much. I love just your story and your heart and your genuine spirit, Angela.
Thank you.
And thank you for sharing yourself here and your time and energy. I so appreciate you.
Thank you so much.
And I just want to thank you, my beloved listener. Thank you for tuning in and for being a part of this greater movement here and community, and listening, as Angela said, listening and trusting and being in tune with your own soul and your essence. Because as you follow that and your intuition, that is your Youest you. And we want you to continue to express that, to feel safe enough, and to hopefully be empowered, because the more lights we have that are turned on, the more that you as a light is turned on, the better our world is. So thank you. Lots of love. Mwah.